Tiffanie Drayton, welcome to the Today Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Trevor.
You know, you have one of the most interesting takes in this book. You do not want to be middle of the road. You very much want to speak your piece. Black American Refugee. You say something that I think a lot of people feel, but you have acted on. You've gone, America is not my friend as a Black American person, and so because of that, I'm leaving.
Absolutely.
So when you say Black American Refugee, that's a very specific title to choose for a book, because you don't say Black American Immigrant.
Precisely.
You say Black American Refugee, which implies some sort of fleeing. You know, you're leaving the place, you're living in exile now. I would love to understand the thought behind that, because many would say, oh, but you chose to leave and you could stay as well. But you argue in the book you couldn't stay. Staying
Right.
wasn't actually an option for you if you wanted to live a life.
Right, and that's when you have to really take a good look at systemic oppression and what that does to an individual. So when I made that decision to leave, I was being oppressed in so many ways, whether it be the withholding of your diploma, the living in a neighborhood that is rife with violence. These are all things that I was experiencing at that time. And then on top of that, to add an additional layer of trauma, I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. And that's something that's more common with people who are of an oppressed minority. You realize it's so hard to not find yourself in abusive dynamics, because guess what? Everybody is existing in a way that's so traumatic and so full of constant distress. And not only that, but you know, we internalize so many of the messages from our abusers, and in this case, this larger structure of systemic oppression, right? For example, you know, so many Black people internalize ideas of self-hate that they would have learned from the media that brands us thugs or crack babies or welfare queens, all of these brands and all of these labels. And so my decision to leave was really born of my desire to even free myself from those labels. And that's what I was able to do by going back to Trinidad.
There are pros and cons to every country. I have friends from Trinidad who'll be like, man, Trevor, I wish I lived in America. There's opportunities, there's ways you can do things. It seems like there's upward mobility. Trinidad is so small. It's a community, it's a village, but it also feels constricting at times. Do you not think it's just a case of maybe the grass being greener, or do you think it's something that you've chosen to weigh up and go, you know what, me feeling like being Black is not an issue is worth more to me than the ease of upward mobility? Or do you think the upward mobility itself doesn't even exist?
I feel like, you know, when you recognize that you are in a caste system, it is true that upward mobility may exist for the few, but what does that say about the majority? And is there truly upward mobility if when you move into that rich neighborhood or you start driving that BMW, you are still under the same threat of white supremacy? Is it truly upward mobility if you have to be afraid to gift your child a car that's expensive because a police officer may shoot that child because they think that the child stole the car just because they're Black? You know, I think that we can only view mobility in terms of maybe our economic circumstances. But when that brand of Blackness puts you at the bottom rungs of a society, there is really no way to escape that aside from destroying that very system that seeks to put people in that rung and keep them there.
I like that you say caste system.
Because it is that.
Yeah, but I think people don't understand what a caste system actually is.
No, they don't.
The time, right?
They're like, but it's not India. It's like, it doesn't have to be India.
Right.
It could be the American version.
Yes, but I often say to people, we're still dealing with a very basic level of it, because here it's still like, I always think of, if I was playing a video game, race is still like, almost like the first boss. Do you know what I mean? They're still gonna, like, classism is still gonna come in as the next boss, which is almost what, like, the racism is hiding under. You don't think so?
No, absolutely not. Because ultimately—
You don't think so?
Darling, let's go take a trip down MLK. Let's take a trip down Malcolm X. In fact, let's go to Barack Obama schools across the United States of America. Tell me about class not being interconnected with race.
No, I'm not saying not interconnected.
It is actually part of the same thing.
Yes,
because the class system in America, remember, you brought enslaved people to act as your—
Completely with you.
And
completely with you.
From that moment, you built a system around oppressing them, so that you can constantly use their bodies to profit from. Let's look at mass incarceration.
And I'm not saying not interconnected. This is what I'm saying. This is what.
No, one and the same, like this, hand in glove. In America, it may not be.
Oh yeah, they may be
intertwined
now. Yes.
In America, you built both systems simultaneously.
Right.
I mean, it's a very young country. It's not like it's a brand new country. I mean, it's not like it's a very old country.
And that's what I'm saying. People, I think, don't seem to. So I appreciate that you said it like that. So okay, let's look at America as an example, right? The thing I always try and explain to people is this: the system that exists screws over so many white people as well.
Agreed.
Right? Because there are so many white people who are kept poor by a system that has taught them that black people are coming to take your shit.
Precisely.
So you need to fight the black people.
And that's what the caste system does. If you look at the history of America, right?
Yes.
Europeans of all sorts can come to America and eventually assimilate.
Right.
You
Who's not-
absorb the whiter folks
Yes.
so that your power is maintained.
Yes.
But that doesn't
Completely
mean, but the
agreeing with
key
you.
thing is that the white is on one end and the black is on the other.
Yes.
So anybody who falls off into that black category,
Yes.
like if you're dealing with descendants of slaves who are American, they know it's a caste system. There's no
Right,
question for them
right.
because they see how there is no like generational wealth.
Yes.
Where's it at?
Right.
Like the average white family has like 16 times the amount of generational wealth. So to say it's not race, that's just
No. I'm not saying it's not race. This is what I'm saying.
It's the same.
Then let's look at it. Yes, but
they're
I'm
like,
saying they are intertwined, but I don't think they're the same thing, and I'll tell you why. Let's look at immigrants who come to America. That first generation will come from a place and go, I was given opportunities. I could make something of it. Yes, I had to be a taxi driver. I had to be this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whatever it is. And they'll go, but my kids now do this. I came from this place, and now my kids do this. Then, ironically, their kids who are Black American are now promised a dream, like MLK said. So immigrants will go, this is not my country, ergo, the promise is not to me, so the country's not failing me. They have American children. The American children go, I have a promise. Then the promise is not fulfilled, which creates...
You know, I want to give you another thing to think about as we're on this. Because if you want to look generationally, like my mother, when she came to the United States of America, despite the fact that she worked as a nanny and then eventually became a nurse, she was actually a very educated woman. Now, for her to give her children that same level of access to education, we ventured to 3-4 states. So it requires so much effort to extract,
Completely with
especially
you,
like within, if you look at the education system, like if you are in a majority Black school, it's going to be hot garbage. And that's just a fact. In other countries, that's not going to be the thing that's holding you back. It's not going to be the fact that you're Black, that you can't get a good education. That may play into it. Like you say, that's where you see more of those class-based situations. But in the United States of America, as soon as you bring your blackety-black kids from Africa or from wherever, and you think that, you know, these titles of being immigrant or Trinidadian or whatever are going to protect you, and perhaps they might give you a blinder, but for your children, they're going to have to experience what it is like to be educated in the education system of the United States of America. And it ain't got no time for us. I'll put it that way.
I'll tell you this, Tiffanie Drayton, you've written an engaging book, which is one of my favorite books to read. There are things I agree with, there are things I disagree with, there are things that are new to me. I hope everybody reads it for that reason. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, people. Tiffanie Drayton's memoir, Black American Refugee, is available right now.